Hello everyone and welcome. This is Raouf and today I'm going to talk a little bit about Flare, which is a new tool announced yesterday in the Flutter live event in the 4th of December. So this is just a new way created by the 2Dimension team. It's basically, as you can see here in the definition, insanely fast vector animation for apps, games and web. So it's not just for Flutter. And it's not just for apps, you can use it for games, but basically what this is a vector design. Like you can create your design and also animation. The designer will create those, like the vector design or the animation, and he will export that for like a binary or a JSON format. You can use it in your Flutter project without no problem. So it's just a way to communicate between designers and developers, and using the power of hot reload and the other things. This is going to be like very smoothly done. Before I get started, I will put the link of this Flare Flutter repo in the description of the video if you want to download it, and I will just in few minutes explain how to do this. But in this video, I'm going to basically introduce you to the Flare editor, how to create a very basic design, because I'm not a designer, I'm very bad at design, but I'm going to show you how to create a basic design using Flare and then export it and use it in your Flutter project. So let's go here. As you can see, you can create like a very free account here in 2Dimension website and go to a new Flare project. And this is the first thing you will see. If your project is going to be public or private, you can allow to read or not. If you want it private, you can do that. You need money for that, but let's make it public and save our project. As I told you, this is going to be a very basic project, but let me explain. Here we have two tabs, the setup and animate. In the setup, you will it's like you will initiate your state, and you will describe the component you will use here, like shapes, designs, or any vectors, SVGs, or anything here. And in the animation, you will tell the Flare editor how to animate them, and it's a real-time editor. So let's start by a very basic thing. Create 3 shapes. I'm going to do a very basic animation. It's like a button, and when I click on it, it will become a circle or something. So this is going to be the button. This is going to be the button, which is the big one. I'm going to give it some position, like I'm going to give all of them the same position, like 500 and 400. But I'm going to change the size. For example, the size of the button is going to be 800 by 300, and the size of both the others is going to be like 0 in the beginning. So this is just for the beginning. This is all we need in our animation. You can do whatever you want. You have shapes, you have pens, you have artboards, and anything else. They have a good documentation on those, but they don't have good documentation about how to use them in Flutter, like how to integrate it with Flutter. But that's what I'm going to explain. I have my shapes here, like rectangle 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to explain what we have here. Like in the animation, we have the components here, and here we have the list of animation, because the Flare project is going to be a list of animation. And if you want just one animation, that's totally your choice. It's no problem. That's what we are going to do. Just give it a name, because the name is important in this situation. So let's go here and give it a name, like open or something, because this name is important. When you are doing this in Flutter, you will try to call it using name. And here we have the timeline of our animation. So let's go to our button, which is this rectangle here. You can give it a name. And in the first keyframe in the timeline, I'm going to give it this size and this size, like the width and the height, and the corner radius, because the corner radius is what will change to become a circle. After a few minutes, after a few seconds, maybe just 1 second, I want this to change to something like 300 by 300, and the corner radius is going to become something like 150, and we have our circle. So as you can see, this is how it will interpolate. If you want to change the interpolation, you can do this, maybe something like cubic, and play with it. Let's play with it like this, and as you can see, very good looking UI. And next, I want when the button will become circle, I want to show the other two rectangles. So let's go here. When the animation will end, I will start, like when this keyframe will end, I want to start the rectangle to change to something. So first thing, I'm going to change the size, which is basically going to be 0 here, and the rotation. Let's do the same for the other one. Give it 0, 0, and 0 in the rotation. But just after 1 second, or maybe just a little bit here, I don't want it to be long, I will change the size to something like 600 by 80, and the rotation is going to be maybe 55. And I'm going to do the opposite here for this one. The size is going to be let's just make keyframes here, so we need to be sure, and if you want to do this manually, you can do auto key, like automatically in the playing with the interface here, but I want to do it with numbers, so we don't get a lot of errors, we get a good UI. 600 by 18 as well, and the rotation is going to be 135. So let me show you what I'm going to do here. Just run the animation, it will show me this design. So it's very simple, very basic, you can play with it how you want. Just going to do this last thing about the interpolation of the rotation. How to do this? I'm going to do it from here. Sorry, from here. I'm going to make it something like cubic. All of them are going to be cubic. So let me just run this again to check if it's working correctly. It's working correctly, but I just need a few tweaks here. It's going to run this. Okay, very good. So now we have our design. If you want to do more with it, you can do that. I'm just playing. So sorry, this is not going to be 35. This is going to be 34. I thought that there is something error or something, so that's what I'm going to change here. 45. So now we have a better design. Yes, okay. So now what I'm going to do is to export this as a Flutter, for the Flutter engine, as a binary file, and click export. That's all. Now let's go back to our project. I have a very basic project right here generated by Flutter. So I'm going to move this file over here to my Flutter project right here, and let's give it a good name, maybe open FLR, and make it in the assets folder. So I'm going to create a new folder, call it assets, and I will move this one here. So now we have our project. Let's open Visual Studio Code and start doing some coding. The first thing we need is to go to pubspec.yaml so we can add this asset. So let's do that. Let's go to pubspec.yaml over here and add the assets part. Assets. It's going to be something like assets open.flr, and click Ctrl S and run flutter packages.get to see if everything is correct here. If everything is correct, let's go and move on to our code. I'm going to make the font a little bit bigger for those of you who are using the phone to watch the video. Okay, now we will go to our main project. We don't have anything, so let me create a new Flutter app that doesn't have anything, and I'm going to format the code so you can see it with your human eyes. And format documents. Oh, okay, it's working. Okay. Now what we need to do is to import that library. If you go back to the website, this website, they have a way you can use this way installation using the git using the path. You can download it as a local repo or something. What I'm going to do is just to download this file as a zip file, nothing else, and then get what I need from it. So we need two things, which is the Flare folder, the Flare, you know, I will show you right now. Okay, now let's move our Flare Flutter Master to our project here, and let me make it in the library, paste it here, and maybe I will create a new folder here. Let's call it Flare. This is what you will do. Let's call it Flare and go to this folder here and library. This is all I need. Let's copy them, go back to this folder, paste them here, and that's all you need. Like, it's just few things. You will use it as a library because they don't have a pub repo yet. They don't have a pub package. I don't know why, but they have the repo. So from the repo we can use this as a package as we want. So no problem with that. And now I'm going to go to the lib again, delete this file because it's distracting and we don't need it. So just to recap, what I have is a file called the Flare which contains those files. And now let's go to coding in our Visual Studio Code, and I will import this new thing, import called the Flare. You will find it in Flare and the Flare actor. We need the Flare actor because if you go back to the documentation, this is how they will do it. Let's just do it ourselves. I need a scaffold, and in the scaffold there is a body, and this body is going to be a Flare actor. The Flare actor need a file name, which is a non-optional parameter. So let's give it this file, assets.open.flr, and then let's go to other parameters like alignment. Let's make it aligned in the center, alignment center, and we will have the animation. You will just give it the string name. Our animation is called open, and the color, let's give it a color, maybe colors.green, and we will need in the end something like fit, and give it box fit contain. Yeah, contain is going to be good, and Control S. Now let's run our application in the emulator. So this is just what we need, like the Flutter actor. There are a lot of other things to know, but this is the basic thing. You will need to point where is your asset, which is here in our assets open.flr. Let's just make sure that we are right, open.flr. The alignment and the animation, color, fit, all of those, we know all of this. They are simple things. Let's wait until we get our application up and running. Okay, the app is started running, so let's see what will happen when the app will sync. Oh, let's wait for the app to start. As you can see, the app will start and the animation will start directly, and that's really good. That's we did a lot of like things to get to this point, but now I just want something. Maybe I want, when I click on it, I want to start the animation or do something. You can do that using the controller. The controller is basically how to control your animation or multiple animation in this Flare actor, but let's do it with the hacky way. Just I found like it's an easy way to do it, because using the controller I didn't find that much of that much of content about it. To be clear, just to be correct and you don't go away, there is no documentation about this Flare actor or Flare thing at all. Because even if you go to the widget test, they don't have a widget testing for that. I know they have a lot of commented code in the year packages, but that's not a problem. We can deal with that for the moment, but in the future we need a lot of more documentation to explain how to do things. So that's how we are gonna do it. There is a parameter called isPose. Let's copy its name, and we just introduce a new variable here, a boolean called isPose, and give it a value first as a true. And I want when the user click, so let's create a gesture detector for that. Gesture detector, and when the user will tap on the image on that thing, he will do this. He will set state, and isPose is going to be false. So this is just one way to do it, and there are a lot of ways. As I told you again, the controller is how to control your animation, but this is just a way. So now let's click on it and it will start as we wish, and it's really smooth, really clear, and I hope you enjoyed my video. It was my very first video about Flutter in English, so sorry about any errors or mistakes, and if you have any suggestions or something, yeah, as well, don't forget to subscribe if you want more content like this about Flutter, and see you next time.